Welcome to the Fit Marriage Show, the #1 straight talk fitness show for busy folks. I'm Dustin Reekman, and I'm your host today. Today's show is a very special one for me. A good online friend and someone I greatly respect, JD Roth of Get Rich Slowly, is joining us today to share his own journey over the past year plus, where he's lost 45 pounds. He's found a new passion for fitness, and it's impacted all areas of his life. JD really gets into the details in this interview, shares exactly how he did that, what his motivation was, and how he is continuing to do that, and also talks, being a personal finance writer, about the monetary impact of fitness, and how he justifies spending over $200 a month just for his gym membership, and how that fits into his overall life plan and his budget. So I think there's a lot of great insights here. I'm very excited to share this with you. So please, without further ado, let's enjoy our interview with JD Roth. And welcome once again, everyone. I'm very excited today to have JD Roth on the program with us. Hi, JD. Yeah, the beauty of video, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of people, if you've been online for any length of time, you probably have heard JD's name. He's a full-time blogger, personal finance author at Get Rich Slowly, and that's, of course, where I found him. JD, has it been like 5 years plus that you've been doing that?
Yeah, just over 5 years.
Yeah, so I think I consider myself an early adopter maybe 3 years ago, back when my wife and I were undergoing a lot of financial changes, and it was kind of a godsend. And I've been fortunate enough to come full circle and write a few articles for Get Rich Slowly. So it's a great honor to have you here, JD. I guess to get started, you just want to tell us a little bit about the evolution and what you've done over at Get Rich Slowly, what that's all about.
Sure. Let's see. I'll do the broad brushstrokes.
Sure.
So I got into debt when I was a young adult. After college, I got into debt, just stupid debt, credit card debt, that kind of thing. And I tried all sorts of crazy ways to get out of debt. Never worked. And the debt just got worse and worse and worse until in 2004, my wife and I bought an old house. We had a nice house. It was fine for us, but we decided, we want a house, and an old farmhouse. And so we spent, on paper, we could afford the house, but we bought the house, we moved in, and oh my gosh, I felt like I was drowning. I was just overwhelmed by the expenses. And so I started complaining to everybody about my finances. I'd already been complaining about them before. And I had over $35,000 in consumer debt. I had this new mortgage, and I was just spending like crazy on stupid things. And I didn't have control of my finances. So a couple of friends started loaning me books, and books about personal finance. And I read these books, namely Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover and
of course.
Your Money or Your Life by Joe Dominguez and Vicki Robin.
Great books.
Yeah, absolutely. And I read those, and I was like, oh. And then I went to the public library and I checked out some more books, and I was like, these all seem to be saying the same thing. They're saying, instead of trying to find quick fixes like I'd been trying to do, I've been trying to find quick fixes to get out of the situation. And they all say, you can get rich slowly, but you got to make the right choices. And so I decided, all right, what do I have to lose? I'm at the bottom. The only way to go is up. So I started following the things in the books, and I started writing about these at my personal blog. And I wrote an article called Get Rich Slowly that tried to summarize everything I'd learned. And for some reason, it really resonated with people. I mean, my personal blog, nobody reads my personal blog. Right. I write about cats and comic books and computers, and just it's for me and my family.
Sure.
And but this article got picked up by Boing Boing and Lifehacker and stuff, and I was like, that's strange. I didn't even know. All right. And anyway, it gave me this idea. I thought, I could write a personal finance blog. I could start a blog that'll be the first personal finance blog, and it'll be awesome. And little did I know that there are already tons of personal finance blogs out there. Consumerism Commentary was out there. I Will Teach You to Be Rich. All these other blogs. And so I started Get Rich Slowly. And my goal was to help myself improve my finances, to help other people improve their finances, and then maybe to make a little bit of money on the side. And but it just grew over time.
Yeah.
And so within a couple of years, I had paid off my debt. I was able to quit my day job and work full time with the blog. And now it's evolved to where I'm gradually trying to take a back seat. I'm trying to work my way out of a job.
Right.
That's not the right way to. I want to write less and less for Get Rich Slowly because I
Yep.
feel like I've said what I have to say, but I'm bringing on other writers that can have a voice, and I act as the editor and the guiding vision, I guess.
Sure. No, that's perfect. And I know you've written a book, and we're going to talk a little bit about that too, because that really plays into your fitness journey. And
Mm-hmm.
I think I wanted to get that in there because that's what you're most well known for. You know, everyone needs to check out Get Rich Slowly. If you need any help with personal finance, that's the place to go for sure. But I want to kind of quickly transition over into fitness, and again, the two tie together very closely in your life.
Yes.
And so I guess the broad overview, as I understand it, over the last year plus, you've lost over 40 pounds. You've sort of found a new love in a gym / program called Crossfit,
Right.
and it's really changed your whole life. But that all started with the release or the writing, I guess, of your first book, Your Money: The Missing Manual. Another great book to go right up there next to Dave Ramsey and the other authors you mentioned.
Well, I don't know about that. I did my best.
Well, I enjoyed it a lot. So, but yeah, and I'll let you tell the story. But I think that was sort of your low point. Actually, was writing that book and what the toll that takes on you physically, and kind of the realization you had with that. And if you want to pick it up and just let us know kind of about your low point and what you started to do to get out of your funk.
Sure. Well, first of all, I've struggled with fitness all my life.
Yeah.
Whereas, well, I've had ups and downs. Whereas my personal finance journey, I had never really had any success. I'd had success with my fitness at various points.
Okay.
When I got married in 1993, I weighed 193 pounds. I lost some weight, gained it back, so that in 1997, it was May 6th, 1997, I weighed 200 pounds for the very first time. And so that put the fear of God into me, and I lost 40 pounds then. I dropped down to 160, and then I gradually gained it back. And most of my adult life, I've hovered between 190, 200 pounds.
Okay.
And out of shape pounds, not fit pounds, out of shape pounds. And based on my height, I should weigh about 160 or less. And so anyway, when I started writing the book, which was, I got to do the math here, would have been early October 2009.
Okay.
I weighed 193 pounds, and which is pretty standard for me. Over the next 4 months of writing the book, I gained 20 pounds. So I hit a high of 213 pounds. January 1st, 2010 was where I weighed. So I guess it was over 3 months is all it took to gain the 20 pounds. But I was sitting in this office,
I was going to say,
working at this computer.
People
I was not going.
don't appreciate what it takes to sit down and write an entire book, you know, and obviously you already, I guess you had the deal and you had a deadline. You were just locked away, probably 12-hour days writing, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, it's actually less productive to do that. I didn't know it. I mean, you can understand that it's more productive to get out and take a walk and take an hour break, and that's going to you're going to recharge you, and your brain's going to have some downtime.
Sure.
It's one thing to understand that mentally, and one thing to actually, I mean, I couldn't make myself do it.
Yeah, I totally get that. Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, you know, most authors have 9 months or a year to write, but I had 3 months, and I stretched it to 4 because I was behind my deadline, but it wasn't good. So I spent all day, every day in this office, and it wasn't good for the marriage. It wasn't good for my health. It wasn't good for my physical health or my mental health.
Right.
Basically, when I got finished with the book in the late January of 2010, that was probably the lowest point I've been at in my life. And so I decided to designate 2010. Last year was the year of fitness. That was my resolution. I made one goal for 2010, and that was to lose. I think I wanted to lose 50 pounds. I don't remember what I set it as.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah, because I would have wanted to get 163 because I'm still aiming for that. And so when January 1st rolled around, I tried to do some of that, but I wasn't finished with the book, so I just didn't have any success, and I didn't have a plan. I was going to the gym and going on a treadmill for a half hour, maybe doing a little bit of weightlifting, but I didn't know how to do weightlifting. And so the beginning of January, February, and even into March, I was trying to do some exercise, and I was trying to eat right, but I maybe lost 3 or 4 pounds, and mentally I wasn't there.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what it was. I'd heard about CrossFit for a long time. People have been telling me about CrossFit, and finally one of my friends joined a local CrossFit gym, and he invited me to go. And so it was the last week of March of 2010, and I said, all right, I'll go try it for a week. They had a 1 week free trial. And I didn't know what I was getting myself into. So are you familiar with CrossFit at all?
I am personally, but I definitely want to get into what it is, because you're the first guest that we've had on that's had so much success with CrossFit, and I think a lot of our listeners would love to know a lot more about it. So I guess this might be a great point for you to just jump in and explain what CrossFit is, just in general, and then kind of how that breaks down into a local gym setting.
Okay, so CrossFit is more or less a philosophy. You can go to CrossFit.com and try to figure out what it is, but to me, when I used to go visit CrossFit.com, it was opaque, it was vague, I could not figure it out.
And it's a busy site. You know, they have the CrossFit Journal, there's just tons of information on there, and unless you really understand the overall philosophy going in, it feels like I think it's packaged sort of like a special, like SWAT team training and tactical training.
Right.
That was the vibe I got. It didn't feel like it was for the everyday Joe until I start meeting people like you who have had so much success.
Right, and there are certain gyms that are targeted towards police officers and firefighters and military personnel.
Sure.
But CrossFit doesn't have to be that. And so what CrossFit is it emphasizes functional movements. And I wish I had all the lingo so I could lay it out. But so by functional movements, what I mean is that they want to emphasize stuff you do in your everyday life. You carry things. You, I don't know, you have to run quickly every once in a while. I mean, it's not just getting on a treadmill or getting on a elliptical machine. And it's not just getting in the gym and using weight machines.
Yep.
So
a lot of cross training, obviously, for the CrossFit, right?
Yeah, and so they name 8 different fitness modalities. They get into all the lingo. The lingo just drives me nuts.
Right.
Like, like speed, strength, agility, flexibility. They have this whole list of things that they try to improve on. So every day, I guess the best way to explain it is CrossFit is like your grade school PE class, your grade school gym class. And you go into gym class every day, and it'd be something different. You didn't know what you're getting. And some days you might be climbing rope or whatever. But that's what CrossFit is like. Now, it does emphasize a lot of weightlifting.
Yeah.
But it also does things like we do climb rope. We run a lot. We get on the rowing machine. The rowing machine's the only real traditional gym machine we have in the class. We have these big heavy tires like you might see on Biggest Loser, and we flip them over.
Yeah.
We do all sorts of things. And the great thing about CrossFit is it's scaled to to each person's level. So when I joined CrossFit in April of 2010, I was 208 pounds or whatever it was, and I was out of shape, and I couldn't do anything. I couldn't do a pull-up. Pull-up is a great example. We do a lot of body weight exercises in CrossFit, like push-ups and pull-ups. And I couldn't do a pull-up, and they have these elastic bands, like giant rubber bands, really thick, that give you assist. I couldn't even do a pull-up with one of the assisted bands, big, thick assisted band. And now I can do 17 pull-ups. And so the workouts, when you go in every day to CrossFit, you've got a specific workout that you're doing. And the people who are physically fit enough to do the complete workout, they might do that. Some of them might actually do it with wear a weight vest or whatever.
Okay.
But if you're at a certain level where you can't do it, then you scale it down. It's like if you're doing push-ups, maybe you got to do the push-ups from the knees, or maybe you've got to do them against the wall or something.
Yep.
So
I get that. And so are you going in at a designated time, and you're always with kind of the same group of people, and so at that time of day, the same group of people meets, you work out for an hour or whatever it is, and then at 2 o'clock that day, they'll have a different group of people that just come on a regular basis?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a class. My gym has a 6:30 class, a 9 o'clock class, a noon class,
Gotcha.
a 4 o'clock. And we're all doing the same workouts when we come in, and they all get written on this whiteboard. And so you can compare your scores with other people. You're only really competing with yourself.
Sure.
But it's a way to keep you accountable by showing your scores to see how they do compare with other people. And it's it's also fun because you figure out, okay, I'm about the same fitness level as Eddie, and so I can see what Eddie did on this workout today, and my goal is to beat Eddie, and it's fun to do that, and it's just a friendly competition. And so at my gym, we have a lot of. It's in a very wealthy. It's across the river. It's only a mile from my house, or a mile from the office too, but it's across the river. Here is just a very working class neighborhood, but across the river is a very wealthy part
And
of
you're in
town.
Oregon, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
Portland area.
Portland. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just south of Portland.
Okay. So CrossFit. So I think when you go there, there's a workout of the day. So
Right.
At every CrossFit gym across the U.S., I guess internationally, is everyone doing the same workout of the day?
No, the main site, CrossFit.com, does post a workout, and many of the gyms do that workout.
Okay.
And many individuals, like if I were working out from home, I might do that workout. But each gym has a trained CrossFit trainer, and he or she can determine what the workout is based on his or her skills. So.
Okay. So tell me a little bit more. What's not necessarily a workout. I think we've got a good idea. It could be anything from pull-ups to rows to squats and deadlifts to sprints and climbing rope, and it could be a lot of different things. But generally, how long are you doing it? Is it 5 days a week, 6 days a week? How does that break out?
Well, each class is scheduled to be an hour.
Okay.
So your first half hour or so is just warming up, stretching. We do a lot of stretching, and then the workout, depending on what the workout is, sometimes it's just 5 minutes.
Sure.
Sometimes it's a half hour.
Because 5 minutes, as an example, that could be something like, I don't know, clean and jerks, which, it's basically pick up a weight and, get it above your head. It could be as many of those as possible with good form in 30 seconds or something. It could be a very, very, very short, intense workout, right?
Yeah, exactly right. Or it could be run half a mile as fast as you can.
Okay.
Whatever.
Okay, I didn't mean to interject, but I think some people
No, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and for me, I think most people when they do CrossFit, try to do it 3 days a week.
Okay.
My goal is to do it 4 or 5 days a week. So, in theory, my ideal schedule is I go in on Monday and Tuesday, I take Wednesday off, and then I go in on Thursday and Friday, and then some days I go in on Saturday.
Okay.
But that's just in theory. In reality, my schedule is all over the board.
Okay. And I think one thing that people should know in sort of full disclosure, and I don't know if this is the case of all gyms, but I know in some of your writing at Get Rich Slowly, we're obviously talking about personal finance. And I think one of the posts I remember, it was sort of like it's okay to have some indulgences. You get out of debt, and one of your indulgences, one is comic books, and on the other end of the spectrum, one is CrossFit. And what stood out to me is it was a pretty expensive gym membership. I think it was like $200 a month. Is that typical? Is that because you're going so frequently? Is that because it's in a wealthy part of Oregon where they can afford to charge people a little more?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay.
I think there are a couple of components. I think that CrossFit gyms are more expensive normally. And the thing to understand is when you go to a CrossFit gym, many of them are just warehouse space.
Sure.
It's not like going to a regular gym. If you walk into a CrossFit gym, a lot of times it's just empty and there's weights stacked against the wall, and maybe a couple of ours has a rope hanging down for the climbing rope.
Yeah.
But it's not like going into a regular gym. You don't see treadmills and stuff. So anyway, you go in, and also you're working with your class size is maybe from 3 to 10 people, and you're working with a trainer or two. It's a much different experience than going to a regular gym. But anyway, the $200 I think is because it's in a wealthy part of Portland, and also because our trainer who runs it is good. He knows he's good, and he knows he can charge that because he's got the expertise. And I don't know. I think it's because it's CrossFit too. But you're right. It can be a tough personal finance choice. It was for me. I mean, $200 for a gym. I was paying $40 for a gym, $40 per month for a gym that I never used. How could I rationalize the $200? And it turned out to me though that the way I phrase it when I write about it is, if you're paying $40 a month for a gym that you never use, that's money wasted.
Sure.
But if you're paying $200 a month for a gym that you go to all the time and you're getting the results, it's worth the money. Well, you've got to decide if it's worth the money. For me, it's worth the money.
Right.
And so I make sacrifices other places so I can afford the gym.
Okay. No, I think that's a great way to put it. And And as a respected personal finance expert, obviously it's wasted if you don't use it. But
Right.
you know, I think, I guess one way to say it for you, I mean, do you feel like you're getting $200 worth of value added to your life each month by investing it in your CrossFit membership?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So, um, and for some people that'll be a lesser amount if they're not interested in CrossFit. But I thought that was interesting coming from the get rich slowly, mentality, that it's still okay sometimes to invest that level of money, because I mean, after all, it's your health, and as we're going to get into here next, it affects all parts of your life, and what's more
Right.
important than your quality of life and your health. So
Exactly. And one thing I wanted to add is
yeah,
you don't have to go to a gym to do CrossFit. Many people do this from home.
okay,
And this is something that I've actually considered. Now that I know how to do this, now that I know the movements, it might cost me a few $100s to buy the equipment, because you would have to buy a barbell and then the weights, and that's several $100s. But in theory, a person could construct this stuff and have the equipment at home and just do it at home. And so that's something I've considered doing. But at the same time, I know myself pretty well, and I know that it's unlikely that I would do it at home. So
yeah, and you have that camaraderie. You mean you have a set group
yes,
of people
absolutely right.
you're dealing with, and I know I
It's my
saw
family.
a video. Maybe the last thing we'll talk about with CrossFit and how you're measuring progress, because I saw a video, and I think it was, we're friends on Facebook. I think I saw your update that you'd set a personal record with your CrossFit total, and
Right.
and can you tell us a little bit what was a CrossFit total? How frequently are you doing that to measure your progress? And it kind of comes back to that group camaraderie, because the video I saw, you
Right.
were showing everyone in your group, and it was really cool to see how everyone was interacting, and the enthusiasm.
Yeah. So our gym really is like a family, and it's great. We all feel it. It's not just me saying it. We're all there. We're very supportive of each other. We try to help each other towards our goals, and we recognize that we're at different places. So the CrossFit total, we do it once or twice a year, and it's basically just three movements: a shoulder press where you're lifting weight straight overhead, a deadlift where you're lifting it off the ground to your knees, and then a back squat where you got on your back and you squat and then lift. And so you're taking your total for the most you can lift at each of those three weights and then adding it together, and you get a total score. And so in March we had a big weekend event, a Saturday event, where not everyone came, but about a quarter of the gym came, and
Okay.
we were all there and we were cheering each other on, and it took several hours, and it was fun. So
And one thing that stood out to me, this will be interesting, because we have, I'd say probably 60 to 70% of our listeners are women. And,
ah,
when you describe CrossFit, and it can be in this kind of barren warehouse, and it's heavy weights and ropes, one thing that stood out to me in your video is, I don't know if it was mostly women, but there were certainly a lot of women, very strong women, very, and when I say strong, they're also typically very slim and sleek, and it's not, big power lifter women, but these are some
right.
strong women who are lifting heavy weights. And that was very impressive. Is that
Yeah.
true? I mean, there are a lot of women at your gym.
There are, and I think there are a lot of women in CrossFit, which is one of the reasons I like it. It's not a typical sexist place. I mean,
Sure.
The gyms I've gone to, the weight rooms are always men. But our gym, I would say, is at least 50%, if not 60% women. And, and I want to stress again that people come in at all different fitness levels.
Yeah.
I came in at 213 pounds. I was fat. There are two women that have just joined, and to be honest, they're fat. But you know what? Give them a year, they're not going to be fat.
Right.
They're going to have slimmed down. They're not going to have muscles, but they're going to be fit. It's going to be awesome. And
that is awesome. Well,
I'm looking forward to cheering them on. So
yeah, for sure. And so we've talked a lot about CrossFit. I think everyone has a good appreciation for what that
probably
is.
too much.
No, not at all. And that's the base. That's the core of what you've accomplished over the last year and
it is.
change. And I know it means a lot to you. And I think it's a fantastic program. I haven't personally done it. I usually work out, in the morning at home, and I've got different things I do. But the idea of going to a gym with that kind of camaraderie and getting back into some of my history and doing some lifting and things, back in football, and I do see the value in that for sure, and I think it's cool. So I was very glad we were able to get into the details. But there's more to your story too, because I know you said 4 to 5 days a week at CrossFit, but I'd like to know sort of what else have you adopted as part of your new active lifestyle. And I'm thinking of things like right before this interview, you were with your wife at a yoga session. That's
Right.
obviously pertinent, and this is a Sunday afternoon. And I know you do things like walk and ride your bike to to town and things like that. So have you sort of found other ways to be active outside of just doing CrossFit?
Yeah. So for me, I'm still. I have a little bit more weight to lose, about 5 or 10 pounds, maybe 5 pounds. 10. It depends on whether you ask me or my wife. So I think I need to lose more. Um, I found that the most effective thing when I'm being most effective at weight loss is when I'm being more active. And so thankfully, we're finally getting to good weather here. I look outside and it's raining. I don't know why I'm saying it's good weather, but
Yeah, same here in St. Louis. I feel you.
yeah. So that means more yard work. So last summer, I really tried to be active with the yard work instead of dreading it. I thought, no, this is a way for me to get exercise.
Yep.
But I also last summer I biked a lot. I did my first 100-mile ride. I had never done one of those before. That sucked. Don't recommend it for anyone.
I did that 2 years ago. I can concur. So.
Oh, I thought it would be great, but no. The first half was great. The second half, not so much.
Yeah, a lot of chafing and cramping going on in my case, so I can understand that.
It was a hot. I think it was 90, 95 degrees,
Yeah.
and it was bad. But the walking, absolutely. I live about 3 miles from the nearest town, and so I will often walk down to go to the bank, or to go to lunch, or just whatever. So it's 3 miles down, 3 miles back,
Yep.
and so that's a nice round trip. And right now, this month, I'm really focused on weight loss. My goal is to get more than 10,000 steps a day. I don't need to go into all my goals. I got a bunch of different goals, and
Yeah, which is very important, I guess. As a side note, I mean, you had the year of fitness, and that took you a long way. And it sounds like every step of the way you're very goal oriented. And I know that was true with finances as well, and I'm the exact same way. So I relate very well to that, to having a monthly goal of 10,000 steps a day, and like again, you don't have to get into the details, but didn't mean to interject. But again, I think that's a real important
that's
takeaway.
Good. That's good. Yeah, and so the goals. I had during the year of fitness, I dropped until at the end of November, I was at 173 pounds, about 174 pounds, and it just kind of plateaued there for a while until this March, actually, or April.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know what it. And so it was like 4 or 5 months of plateau. So I thought, I've just got to buckle down. I want to get these last 5 or 10 pounds off, and so this month I've really been focused. So the walking, I also want to add that this is a part where some people will probably object, but that's okay. They can object.
Yep.
There's the CrossFit gym, as I say, it's only about a mile and a half away, as the crow flies. But to get there is an 8.5-mile drive, and it takes about 20 minutes to drive it. Or I could bike that, and I've done that many times, and it takes about 45 minutes to bike it.
Yep.
But there's a railroad bridge not far away, and it's illegal. You're not supposed to go on there. No trespassing. But finally, about a week ago, I said, I'm going to chance it. And so I've been, for a week now, I've done it 5, 6 times. I've walked across and back, and so it's a 2.5-mile walk, 2.5 miles back. Perfect walk for me, about 40 minutes. And I've encountered many people on the way now, well, about 3, and apparently, I'm not the only one who does this. It's a very frequent thing.
We won't tell anybody. So.
Well, I want to write about it at my personal site because it's the kind of thing I always share. But at the same time, I'm admitting I'm trespassing and I'm not doing anything. I'm not harming the railroad property. I'm just using it. But anyway, so that's one way I've been getting extra exercise, and then also yoga. I've been doing yoga once or twice a week because my flexibility is terrible, and it's actually the limiting factor in my athletic pursuits now. I keep having problems with my Achilles tendon. My right shoulder is very sore right now, and it's all flexibility. So I've been trying to go to yoga to work on it. I've only been doing it for about a month, and I'm noticing
you've been going like once a week, and it sounds like your wife joins you at least some of the times.
So Sunday mornings at 9 o'clock we go together.
Cool.
And then I try to go on Monday and maybe one other time later in the week.
Does she have any? She doesn't. I'm assuming she doesn't do CrossFit with you.
No.
But she enjoys the yoga,
wish,
and so that's a way that you can sort of recreationally, be together and also work on your fitness. That's cool.
Yeah.
I guess so. I won't keep you much longer, but we've
No,
talked a
I'm
lot
good.
about the exercise side. Obviously, the other big missing ingredient here is food. You know, just like in personal finance, you have the input and the
Right.
output. So, what are you doing as far as food? Is that pretty casual? Do you have a certain diet you stick to? You know, what have you done to lose weight and get healthy here as far as your nutrition side goes?
I'm really torn on the food thing. So, uh, CrossFitters, a lot of people look at CrossFit like a cult, and it can be. I
Sure,
mean, it can be like that. I mean,
obsessive. Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
and many CrossFitters buy into the paleo diet,
yep.
which is a diet that is it stresses protein. It's very anti-carbohydrate, uh, and this diet works for many CrossFitters. Now, I'm the kind of person that when I look at a diet or a fitness regimen, I look at the results, yes, but I also look at the science behind it and the other rationales. And I find the science behind the paleo diet, especially the anthropology, dubious at best.
Yeah, because that's sort of like
So,
going back to your ancestry and eating nuts and seeds and things you graze on, maybe you know, and animals that you could kill. Is that sort of it? It's sort of like back to basics, caveman sort of thing.
yeah, that's the idea. They're saying that we've evolved to eat this particular way, and so it doesn't make sense to eat a different way. And but my argument is they're anti-rice and they're anti-beans.
Okay.
And they're like, oh, you eat the rice, it's going to make you fat. That's what the problem is. It's not calories, it's rice. And I'm thinking to myself, have you seen the Japanese? Have
Yeah,
you
that's what I
seen
was
the,
about to say. And
and
beans, have you? Yeah, there are a lot of examples of bean-fed diets that are quite
yeah.
lean too. So,
So I understand that Americans as a whole, we eat a lot of processed carbs, and I
a lot of
understand that.
corn.
But
Yeah,
if they were basing their diet recommendations only on the American population, okay. But there's this entire world where people eat this stuff and they're fine. I don't think that's what's causing the obesity. So I don't want to rail against paleo
sure.
because it works for a lot of people. And to be honest, I've really tried to increase my protein intake because I am a person who, well, as Dustin knows, I have right here, I have a sticky bun that I'm going to eat after we're done here.
Yep.
Uh,
You've been eyeing it
but
the whole time, I know. So,
ah, I just can't eat it because it's crunchy. Um, uh, so I have a tendency to eat donuts and crap. And so left to my own devices, my diet is terrible. And there's no question that's part of why I gained so much weight. Uh, so increasing my protein intake has absolutely helped. But I haven't made things off limits. I haven't said, oh, I can't have rice. Oh, I can't have beans. Instead, what I'm trying to do is increase my protein intake uh, just because that's something I need to do because otherwise I don't get enough protein in my diet. And also because I'm lifting weights and because I'm trying to build a little muscle. I don't
yeah,
want to be a muscle man, but because the protein helps. And
yeah,
so I buy into the if you consume fewer calories than you burn, you're going to lose weight. I believe that 100%. And
yep.
so
And so you just
um,
generally eat fairly clean, and you put an emphasis personally on eating, you know, lean protein as much as you
yeah,
can, but you're not afraid to have a sticky bun, and
right,
you know, and you're not afraid to eat some beans and rice, and you know, yeah,
right.
Dave Ramsey would go crazy. I hear beans and
Ah,
rice and
beans and
beans, you
rice.
know,
That's right. That's right.
that's like Dave Ramsey's catchphrase for eating cheaply. So I can imagine he could never endorse a paleo diet, but
I should point out that I've got this thing here. It's basically a body bug.
yeah,
It's the company is I don't remember what they call it. Body Media, I think it's what they call themselves now.
okay,
But I've been wearing this for almost 2 years now. So even before I started trying to lose the weight, and so what the body bug does is it tracks my motion, it tracks my activity, it tracks how much I'm asleep, um, and so this is how I know how much I've exercised, and it gives me. They want you to believe that it's a very accurate reading of how many calories you've burned. I don't know about that.
okay.
It gives me an approximation, better than I would get on my own, though.
And it's a
And
good
then,
relative comparison, I guess,
yeah,
but maybe not absolutely right as far as the number of calories.
right.
Is your feel? Okay.
So I know tomorrow's going to be my day off from physical activity. I need some rest days. And so tomorrow I'm probably going to burn 2,400 calories because I'm going to drive everywhere. I'm going to sit everywhere, and so I'm not going to get anything. So 2,400 calories probably tomorrow. But yesterday I burned 3,500 calories, which is a big day for me.
Is that a
I consider.
CrossFit day?
Yeah, yesterday was a CrossFit day,
Okay.
and it was a yard work day, and I walked
Okay.
about 10 miles.
Yeah,
So
that's cool. That's a cool device. I know. I think it was the Body Bug one season on Biggest Loser. I caught that, and I've seen them pop up from place to place. So I know those aren't I don't even know what that runs, like $100 maybe. I don't even have any idea. So
there isn't. This is going to sound strange, but I never really look at the initial outlay. I look at the monthly
oh, that's got
cost.
a monthly cost, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so this is I think it's a $30 monthly cost,
Gotcha.
which is it's a lot, but again, it's working for me.
Yeah.
And this is the CrossFit. I don't anticipate abandoning that cost, but this I do anticipate abandoning it probably sometime this year. Actually, once I reach my goal, which is
Yeah.
about 163 pounds, once I reach that, I can see letting go of this, killing the monthly subscription, and all of a sudden I've got $30 extra a month that I can use for well CrossFit or comic books or travel or just to save. So
Sure. Awesome. Well, I think to close out, I got two remaining questions, and these are a little more general, but I think you'll still have a lot to say. You've got fit. I mean, over the last year, you've made a lot of progress. I can look at you, and I've seen pictures of you before and after, and I mean, you look great. You look happy. Your face is thin. And what impact, I guess, first has this had on your marriage with with Chris? Obviously, you're doing yoga on Sundays, and that's cool. But just in general, I mean, do you think it's had a positive impact in your household?
oh yeah, absolutely. For one thing, Chris isn't happy if I'm not happy. And so when I'm in a bad mental place, it carries over into the marriage, and I'm more difficult to live with. We're butting heads more often.
Yeah.
We don't fight a lot, but we get snippy with each other, and so absolutely losing the weight, I'm feeling better about myself. So it makes me it makes everything happier, and I'm also more willing to go do the yard work and stuff. I mean, when I'm feeling fat, or when I am fat, not feeling fat. When I am fat, I don't want to go outside and do yard work.
Yeah.
But now that I've lost the weight, I'm like, oh yeah, I can go do that. And it's a total change of perspective. We were just talking about this today. To me, when I'm doing the yard work outside, I feel like I'm doing CrossFit because I'm carrying the big branches around, and it's I don't know, it's fun. So yeah, it's improved the marriage in a variety of ways. So.
Awesome. And then just in general, I know you touched on it kind of in what you just said, and that it's made you just a happier person. On the kind of career side of things, I know you're kind of going through a transition with Get Rich Slowly and your role there. You've got some new projects that we'll talk about, but just in general, as being fit, do you see a direct correlation with your productivity and sort of your success as far as your career goes?
I don't know about my productivity.
Okay.
But it helps with my self-confidence. There's
Okay.
no doubt. When I was overweight, I didn't want to go meet with people. I didn't want to have business meetings. I didn't want to go speak in front of people. I didn't want to appear on TV. I didn't want to do any of that stuff. And I still have some apprehension. It's not like it's all gone, but I'm much more willing now to go speak in front of people and to meet them in person and to do TV stuff.
Yeah.
And to be photographed. I mean, I remember people would want photographs to put, I don't know, just PR stuff. And I didn't want to be photographed. Hell no. And, I still don't like to be photographed, but okay, I know that I'm not fat anymore. So I'm at least okay letting them do it.
Yeah. Excellent. So yeah, I think in a quick nutshell, there, it's made you happier. It's made you not necessarily more productive, but certainly more comfortable in your own skin, and more willing to be out there as a face for your brand and for all the work that you're doing with Get Rich Slowly and other projects. And I think most importantly, it's affected your marriage in a positive way. So,
right.
By my calculations, you're probably close to 45 pounds. You're closing in on 50 with your new goals here.
Yeah.
So I think to close out, before we talk about how people can get a hold of you, one thing I like to do and to put you on the spot a little bit, there's someone in your shoes who's 50 pounds overweight, and they're like, man, this is overwhelming. I've been up and down. I've been on this roller coaster before. What is your advice for the first steps that they should be taking after they hear this interview and they want to be more like JD? What are the first steps from a fitness standpoint, you think?
To me, I think the first step is to actually take the first steps.
Okay.
For me, it, even now, the hardest thing for me to do is actually take action. It's so easy to talk about what I want to do or to think about what I want to do, but talking and thinking don't actually accomplish anything.
Yep.
It's more important, I think, to get out there and do something, even if the something you do isn't perfect or isn't going to be what you want to do in the long run. It's more important to get out there and actually do something than to try to find the perfect thing. And so the example I use is I used to try to think, oh, what's the best exercise I can do? Oh, I'll research. Oh, should I bike? Should I run? Should I do CrossFit? I don't know.
We are kindred spirits. I can tell you that. same thought processes here. It's so easy to get into the analysis paralysis and spend a week trying to have the perfect workout program, but you never actually start it. I can totally relate.
And so the best thing to do is just actually get off your feet and get out the door.
Yeah.
And to me, when I realized that, if I just go out and take a walk, there's a 3-mile loop that I can do through the neighborhood, and just getting out and taking the 3-mile walk at 213 pounds. I mean, that's not biggest loser level weight loss that I needed to do, but it was still uncomfortable to do it, and I was out of shape, and I was huffing and puffing, and getting out there and just doing that walk. That's what I got. That's how I started in January of 2010 when I wasn't, because it took me 3 months before I found CrossFit. Yeah. I was going out and I was taking walks, and I was losing a little bit of weight, and it wasn't a lot, but mentally I knew that, okay, I'm going in the right direction. I'm taking these walks. And so I think the most important thing anyone can do is just get up and move. Set aside 1 hour a day. I know it can be tough because we're all busy. And even now, I mean, it's tough for me. I don't know how I'm going to squeeze in the exercise I need to do this week, but I'm going to find a way to do it.
Yep.
And just take 1 hour a day to do something, anything. And a walk is a good way to start.
Yep. I love that. And that echoes one of our earlier interviews with Leo Babauta, who I know you know pretty well, and he's a huge proponent of walking. And there's no better way to start. If you're just sedentary now, you can definitely go for a walk. It's free and it doesn't take much time, and it can get you started on that right track. So, okay, JD,
and you know what? I was going to say real quick that I use walking now. I mean, I think I mentioned it earlier that I'm taking that 3-mile walk down and the 3-mile walk back.
Yep.
And also walking in the gym 2.5 miles. Walking to me is a key component of exercise, and if you can fit it into running errands, this is something I think many people can do. Is if you've got a store that's a half mile or a mile and a half away, walk to the store and walk back, and then you're fitting it into your lifestyle. And sure, it's going to take a little bit longer than driving, but it doesn't take that much longer.
Yeah.
And it's giving you some exercise.
No, I love that, and I think that's. Some people, I'm going to walk 3 mornings a week for 30 minutes, and that's okay. But when you have a specific destination that you're going to anyway, I think that for me that makes it so much easier. I'll definitely do that sometimes over lunch. I'll think of a restaurant that's several miles away, and sometimes like your railroad bridge example, it can be an adventure in the suburban environment. But you can find a way to get there, and then you can. You'll feel great by the time you get back to work. You've eaten, and then you walk back, and by the time you get back, you're good and digested, and you're ready to go. Kind of avoid the afternoon slump. So, you've been very generous with your time, JD. I definitely appreciate it. Obviously, people can go for the personal finance side of things. Go getrichslowly.org. So don't miss the .org part. And I know you've got a new project that I want to give you a couple minutes to talk about at awesomepeople.com. Can you tell us a little bit about what you've started up there?
Yeah, sure. So I am inspired by people who do great things. And it can be people on a global scale who, I don't know, like Warren Buffett giving away $30 billion. Okay, right. That's a big example of a great thing. But also just people who do simple things like the young woman from Australia who sailed around the world by herself, or people like Lou Gehrig, who he was this nice guy baseball player who fought a terrible disease, and he was just, everybody loved him. And so I get so fed up with the news. I don't watch the news. I don't listen to the news. My wife thinks this is not a good trait in me, but it just drives me nuts. It's so much bickering between both sides in politics and between I don't know. I just feel like it's so negative. And
Yeah.
on the internet, we have things like the fail blog, which the fail blog is funny. I admit the fail blog is funny, but it celebrates the stupidity and the bad sides of human behavior.
Yeah.
And I want to see a site that celebrates the good things people do. And so I decided to start Awesome People as a way to celebrate the amazing things people are capable of physically, uh, spiritually, mentally, just the amazing things people do. And I haven't given the site a hard launch yet. It's just I mention it in places like this
Sure.
because until I find more time, I'm not going to be able to post more than a few times a month at Awesome People. And but eventually, my hope is that Awesome People becomes the project that's my full-time project and is the project I'm known for instead of Get Rich Slowly. I want Awesome People to be that project
Oh,
because
fantastic.
I really want to celebrate the neat things people can do.
Yeah, we've started with a great title and URL. So, as you know, that's an important first step. So that's
Yeah.
very cool. Well, that's all I've got. I want to let you get back to your Sunday afternoon
Thanks,
and
Dustin.
enjoy your snack cake there. Recover from your yoga.
Oh,
Oh yeah, there
yeah.
you go. All right,
I'm ready.
all right. Well, JD, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Dustin.
I hope you enjoyed that interview with JD Roth. I know that I got a lot out of it. Came away very inspired after talking to JD. Just a great guy, very open and honest about his own struggles and all the things he's went through over this past year to get to almost meeting his goal of losing 50 pounds. So featured here, as you can see over my shoulder, is awesomepeople.com. That's JD's newest project. I highly encourage you to head over, check it out. As he said, it's a work in progress. He's still adding content, as often as he can. But there's already some great information here, some great interviews, and I would encourage you to subscribe so you don't miss it whenever new awesome people are featured. Just a few reminders before we end this interview today, and that is, one, we've added even more content to our Ready, Set, Go blueprints library. We've thrown a core workout in there, a motivational seminar, in addition to all the other great things that were already in there, and it's all totally free. So if you haven't hopped on board our insiders list to get that, I don't know what you're waiting for, but definitely go to readysetgoblueprints.com, and that'll tell you everything that's in there, and you can decide if you want to go ahead and sign up and get access to all of it 100% free. The other thing, just as a reminder, if you're listening to us on iTunes, we greatly appreciate the ratings and the comments that are left there. It means a lot to us. It also helps us get recognized by more people in iTunes so more people can find the show. So basically, in your iTunes store, put in the Fit Marriage Show, and then just click the number of stars that you think we deserve. And if you have a minute, just leave a brief comment saying what you enjoy about the show. You would be amazed what that would do for us and how much we'd appreciate it. So that's all I have for today. We'll see you next time.